Okay, so in our last video we got to this point where we have kind of solved part of the problem, but we have not fully gotten to the solution. If you have not attempted this problem yet, go ahead and try to attempt this problem before you watch this video and finish off the solution. So right now what we're doing is we have this found integers thing, and if we run this, oh, I don't print it, so we want to print it, print, right? Let's just run it, and it looks like, yeah, false, true, true, false, true. Now, let's look at this input data and our output data and say, okay, how do I solve this smaller scoped problem? What I know with my human brain is that we're missing the 3. And so that corresponds to 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what we need to do is probably write another loop here. And we can just start with writing another plan, right? For, let's say, integer in bound integers, right? But we don't have to, like, we've written this loop, but we don't have to keep writing in Python. We can just write in pseudocode. What I want to do, I want to check. 0 is not a positive number, so ignore the 0th index. Right? That's just like a note we need to make. And then what we need to do is we need to check to see if the value in the list is true, is false. If so, return the index. Okay. So we've got 2 different things here. We've got the value, which is one piece of information, and in our list that's false, true, true, false, true. And then we've got the index, the position, right? So what I'm going to do is, rather than getting the value, because we're not really getting the integer here, I'm going to get the position. But how do I really get the position? Well, here in this problem solving process, we made a plan we can match back to when we did the count primes problem, which is, how do we loop over a sequence of numbers? And the way that we did that was the range of the length of found integers. Now, the length of found integers, remember, that's not as long as it should be, right? Actually, sorry, no, we want to just get the length, right? Yeah. But we want to start at 1. Because we want to ignore that 0th index. Okay, so now we've got the position, and then what we want to do is check the value in the list. And by the list, I mean found integers. So how do we check the value? What we do is we go position, and then is false equals, and then how do we check? Check with an if statement. If found integers at position is false, capitalize that false. If so, return the index. Okay, so return position. Great, so that's not what we return, and now we may have solved our problem. Let's fix our syntax. Cool, so we may have solved our problem. Let's run it. It looks like we get our 3 back. So our very first, our input test is working. Before we do anything though, before we run our tests, what I'm going to do is just copy this example, and I'm going to paste it in our little sample code here. And make sure that I get what I expect. All right, let's run it. Oh no, it's returning none. Okay, so how do I handle this problem? Well, let's look. What we could do is throw it in Python tutor again. Let's try that. Let's see what happens. There's only 3 numbers in this example, so it shouldn't take a long time to run. And so we can visualize execution. And you can walk through it as many times as you want. What I'm going to do is go down here. Okay, we've extended it. I'm just going to get to the point where I'm at the end of this loop. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of this. And now what I'm doing is going to basically loop back through and get the number that I'm supposed to get. Okay, so for position and range, cool. Position is 1. If found integers at position 1 is false. It's not. Okay, and position is 2. I see what our problem is. So we get to the end of the list and we never found a false. So what do we do there? If we never found a false, then what we need to do is return the next highest number, because given these numbers, we should return 3. The first missing positive integer isn't even like in between 2 integers in the list. Okay, so then I'm going to need a variable at the top of this to say missing integer is, I'm going to say 0, because we don't want it to be 0. We just want it to be, or really maybe we want it to be 1. Let's see. Now, rather than returning position, what we'll do is we'll say missing integer equals position. Okay, so now let's just try returning that. Okay, run it. It says none. Okay, cool. Oh, gotta return the missing integer. Didn't type it. Okay, so that returned me 1, and that's not what I'm supposed to really do, because I never found a position, right? So here, right before I do the return statement, what I need to do is say if missing integer. And what I need to do is I need to find out if we ever found an integer. So I'm just going to set it to 0, and I can say if missing integer is 0, then what I need to return is the length of the list, or the largest. What I need to do is return either 1, because right here, what we do is we return 1, because it's the next highest positive integer. Or I need to return whatever I found, right? So if it's nothing, then we need to kind of figure out what is the first highest, or the next highest number. If we never found 1 and the highest number is 3, then it's like the length of the list. If it's we never found 1 and it's because none of them were added to the length of the list, then it should be 1. So let's see, if missing integer equals 0 and the length of the found integers is 0, return 1. If missing integer is 0 and the length of found integers is greater than 1, it's greater than 0, then we want to find, that means that all the numbers are in place. So we can say return the len of the found integers. Else, return the missing integer that we found. Just use that whole return statement. Okay, let's see if this does it. That gives us our 3. Let's see if this returns 1. Okay. Great, it returns 1. I think we can run our tests now. Let's run our tests. All right, well, it worked with some of them, but not other ones. Let's see. 8 is not equal to 2. Okay, 1, 3, so this test is not quite right. Oh, no, never mind. It says 8 is not equal to 2. Okay, so it turns out that we want to return the first missing integer. So what I think is if we found a missing integer, we should just return it here. And then just get rid of this else statement. And then, yeah. Cool, we won't have an else. Let's run these tests, see what happens. Looks like we passed all the tests. All right, that's it. Thanks.